All right, everybody should see it on there. Everybody try to check the box. Does anybody want to check to see if there's volume this time? And I will start with roll call. Council President Wolf.
Here.
Councilperson Berger.
Here.
Councilperson Curl.
Here.
Councilperson McNamara. Councilperson Schroeder. Here. Councilperson Benedetti.
Here.
All right, let's go straight to pledge of allegiance while somebody's checking the ball. We're good. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, meeting minutes, June 28, 2021. Has everybody had a chance to review them?
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, we are good on that. Council President, green cards.
Oh, so we have some green cards over there on the table. If you care to ask a question, council, fill it in the appropriate spot, bring it up to myself or Mayor Hughes, and we will slot you in the appropriate place, or you're welcome to wait till the end during a citizen's comment period.
All right, we're going to move straight to village reports. We're going to start with, just so everybody knows, Chief Delp is in a conference today, so he will be back here on Wednesday. So we're going to skip him for right now. I don't really think there's anything crazy going on, so I don't.
There's a copy of his report.
Yeah, there's a copy of the report, which is online. So, but nothing else to report. Let's go to Leah Klein, which is our fiscal officer.
We should have a mid-year supplemental appropriation coming to you for probably the first meeting in August. The finances through June should be updated to the website by Friday. Also, we expected about $60,000 for the entire season for the pool. And so far, the pool has brought in $56,793 to date.
Nice.
Considering this week, I don't think, when I was there the other day, there was 0 people at the pool. It was hot too. It just quit, it just quit raining not too long before that, but there was 0. So I was like, well, this is a great time to go to the pool.
It takes like 20 minutes for people to like clock the rings and run.
That's what it is. I was in that window. I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. So obviously the pool's doing well.
Yes.
Awesome.
Have you looked at on pace where are we readjusting what we're thinking and what we expect if we stay on this pace for the end of the season? Or?
Well, probably, last year we were about 84,000, we're gonna get there, but we're down below last year, so that helped. So probably, I would guess, in the 65 range, to 70 maybe,
Nice.
depending on how the weather holds up for next month.
Sure.
I think that's going to be a huge part. I mean, we've had some pretty large weekends, and this weekend was kind of less. So 3 or 4 more weekends of less, and you're not going to do so a lot, but.
We did see an increase in day passes. The memberships have kind of stayed the same throughout the years. We looked at 2019, I think.
Yeah,
And,
2020, we had a pretty significant high membership, but that was, again, COVID. This year it's not back down to normal.
Commercial favorite bowl.
Indeed.
Well, I think it's because if you have a membership, you have priority booking slots.
Yeah.
That's pretty yeah. So, awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Leah? Okay. Let's move to Mike Flickinger's report. I know I do not look like Mike, but I do have Mike's report. And then I will probably have him come to the next meeting. I try not to use his hours for these meetings, so again, if there's something pressing that we want to make sure that he's here for, you guys just need to let me know. I'm the one that doesn't invite him. I know that's not very nice, but just to save village money. And so he sends us this every, so you have to listen to read it. Task order number 13 is the 2020 sanitary sewer improvement project. All of Insight work is complete, and they have submitted the final invoice for the project and might be closing the task order at any time. Task order number 14 is the Westerville City School District Minerva Park School Review Plan Review. We are reviewing the school district's latest submittal for site improvement plans and stormwater management report. We're coordinating with the school district on the responses to our review comments, and hopefully they will have the final submittal soon. We anticipate reviewing the school district's proposed widening plan for Farview Road in late August or early September, so I know that's something that a lot of people are interested in. Task order number 15 is the 2020 Storm Sewer Improvement Project. All of Insight's work is complete, and we have recommended their final invoice to be paid. We have submitted our final invoice for the project, and we'll move to close that task order as well. Could not be any more excited about that. And I know the ed kid could not either. Task order number 17, the GIS development and support. The initial viewer with the previously discussed information is complete and ready for the village review and approval. Upon village approval, the viewer can be made to be accessible from the village website. We will continue updating and adding information to the system as the village completes projects, including cleaning and inspection tasks. Generally, we intend to perform these updates as part of the various projects. For example, we will update the storm sewer information based on and as part of the 2021 storm sewer CCTV analysis task order. Task order number 18 is the 2020 storm sewer improvement project. We continue to coordinate with the village legal counsel and planning. Let's back up. East Shore Board. We continue coordinating with the village legal counsel and planning regarding the necessary additional easement requirements to install the new pipe from Park Lane Drive. Through this coordination, it was determined to separate this easement needed from additional potential easements in the area. We have solicited a proposal from a local surveying firm to prepare the easement drawings necessary to secure and record the easements. We anticipate receiving those drawings by the end of July. Through additional coordination with the village legal counsel and planning, it was determined that the village can proceed with bidding while the easement is being secured and recorded. We are proceeding with the final bidding documents and will prepare a bidding proposal and legislation schedule this week. So that is like really good news.
So we got approval from the residents to get the.
So we are still coordinating, yes, and we have heard from PNC Bank. Jesse has been in discussion, so we have the contact information from the actual homeowner. We have contacted an actual person at PNC Bank now that is like a real live person. So we are actually dealing with we are dealing with actual live people.
PNC has said they'll sign off on it, but we still need the fee owner. The lady still owns it even though it's in foreclosure, so we need her final sign off, but there'll be a line on the easement from PNC that acquiesces to it. So I think we got everybody on board as soon as we corner the homeowner.
And we have her email address and phone number, and I have contacts that can and will get all of her.
We'll be sure.
Yeah, so we do, we can't force anybody to do anything. We would never do that, but we don't see what the problem or holdup would be. We do have contact information.
I have a comment. When the surveyors do this, can we be sure that they pin the job against the bank pin?
I would assume that's what the surveyor is going to do. Would I not be accurate to say that, Eric, in this?
They don't
particular project?
automatically do it sometimes.
No, they don't. They,
No, yeah, because-
they don't, but they don't understand what down the old villages that they're having to reset payments anyway. So they get out there and then they find pins of file because they've been there for 50, 60 years. They move, right, so then they pay them to reset payments. So we'll make sure you want.
You know, there's, where the railroad ties are, you're familiar with the scene, there's several property line pins are underneath there, so I couldn't get find them.
You know, I understand. We'll get on.
So is that sending us the job?
We will find
We'll make sure. Because I think that it's actually extra to do it. if
We'll
I'm
do
not
that.
mistaken.
So that
So many homeowners are involved with it, makes sense.
So it depends on what, so in this particular case, well, okay. So we leave this to the surveyor's discretion. We're talking about brand new easement over on Lakeland Court off of that point. Yes, it means that they need to do a more in-depth survey. We're not looking at easement on other properties. Okay, so we already know what easements are covered on, like Joe's property. And we already know they're covered on Mr. Miller's property, right? So that's not the issue from a structural
Do the
standpoint.
property owners agree?
They don't have to agree.
I know they don't have to, but wouldn't it be nice if we had everybody on board?
It's not a matter of being on board, it's an infrastructure project, and it's not a kumbaya moment.
There, it's up to you.
Yeah, it's not, it's people,
I'm not.
we have to do project.
Well, the moral of the story is all of
Taken care of.
the homeowners have been on board with this project for 4 to 5 years.
So we have to fix
So in
it.
terms of revenues, you're sorry, they agree that they
The bank is getting ready to own the property.
Yeah, we'll get those signatures where we need.
The other properties you mentioned, the Millers, they're in agreement where they.
Well, that's not.
The Millers don't have anything to do with where we're at. We're not talking about that. The homeowners that are involved in this particular one is,
Foreclosure property.
yeah, one is a it's the foreclosure property.
Got a bunch of sinkholes in one space.
Yeah, so no, it will not be, I don't want to speak for PNC Bank or any of those, but this particular easement is not going to be,
Yeah, we just need
it's not a public relations issue whatsoever.
No, we've already,
Is not the resident immediately south of the haunted, foreclosure house?
He is the one that is totally on board and ready to get,
we have easement less property anyways.
we already have easement on that property, but the moral of the story of that is the big push as to why that project is being done. That is a person that I've been in communication with for almost 2 years as well because of issues there. So there will not be issues. They know all about this project and they are vocally waiting for a response.
They've had drainage issues like most of us.
So yes, there is no, if there is somebody in that particular area that is not on board or doesn't know about this project, then they just give in.
I was just talking about it.
Yeah, no, the easement is PNC Bank and a person that I talk to on a regular basis.
Okay, great.
It's
They know.
within a, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I know that you talk to them on a regular basis, but it's kind of like, it just eliminates any issue like of surprise, like, oh, I thought we were talking about over here. I didn't know.
They all know exactly where this pipe is and where the easement is. Yeah, there's no question about that. That is the conversation that we have on a regular basis where the pipe is that's being replaced.
How many properties are involved in the use to cross the property?
Is it-
There's just one that we need.
It's PNC Bank.
Yeah, just the one, just the one.
Yeah, we already have
Everyone
it.
has these
Yeah.
established.
Yeah.
Correct.
The only property that we're,
Curious, it's not-
yeah, no, the only property with the additional easement is the PNC Bank property.
So the house south of there.
Already have these-
We already have
Well,
these.
I almost go to.
But they are fully aware of the problem.
There's 5 foot above for the line, is most of the easement that we need is on the north side of that line. So we already have easement, we need water.
I don't think the other guy would have a problem.
Well, yeah, we're not seeking easement from that particular person as well. But if we needed to, I will never speak for someone, but I can probably speak for him. He would be fine. He wants the project done. So, flow line, the 2021 storm sewer CCTV analysis. Flowline completed their field work the week of 6/25 and delivered the inspection information to me last Thursday, Friday. We anticipate reviewing the CCTV information and assigning condition grades and priorities this week. Our final document will follow, and we anticipate submitting it to the village by the end of July. As you guys, at least on the streets committee, 6/25 and 6/28 email messages for the summary of the Jordan Road area performed to date and potential concepts for addressing the issues found during flow lines cleaning and inspection work. So if anybody wants to review that, it was on 6/25 and 6/28. You guys all got those emails. So if anybody wants to see them, the public record, obviously, but there was some emails from Mike going over some of that information. As part of this task order, because the sanitary sewer CCTV work was not approved, we have started developing the sanitary sewer CCTV schedule and have started to develop a sanitary sewer analysis. And that is my Clifford report. So we have a lot going on. I will also just tell you, because it's not on here, there is some movement back again with the, I'm going to call it the reallocation of storm sewer water, like so the storm sewer water and sanitary sewer from our surcharge. That is exactly what I'm looking at. So we have brought that back up to the table because obviously these 12 things have been kind of got pushed to the top. So now we've gone back to the surcharges to where we can build back up our storm sewer. fund with the surcharge. So reallocating money, moving things around, we are working on that. Actually, Jesse and Mike will be working on that together.
So we said the surcharge from the water bill is going to go into storm sewer fund.
We are working to reallocate, yes. I mean, I don't want to say exactly that way because I don't think it's been completely determined, but ultimately, yes.
I'm trying to figure out if we can do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have done that already once before.
We transferred money from one fund to another and we got court approval for that. This is actually, so we don't have to go that way, is to fix it, establish it, correct?
I remember the transfer.
Yes.
Is it possible for the streets committee to get the preliminary copy of this report?
They sent us one copy of it, and we don't have the report back. We basically have mumbo jumbo that Mike is going to do his analysis. We do not have the analysis yet. All we got was a
You
flash.
don't receive anything before the end of the month.
Everything I received, Mike Flickinger has picked up. We get the stuff that has not been analyzed from Flowline. We do not have a copy of that. We got one copy, and Mike, actually, I believe it was Randall that picked it up. Randall picks it up for me, and then they send it off, and by the end of July, they will have their analysis done. So to answer, no, I don't have anything.
But when he does that,
That's when we get it, yes. Yeah, that is, he will send out a complete report. It'll be a lot of pages, I don't know how many. And that report will actually get sent to all of you. I will send it to every single person on council, because it'll be an overview of everything that was happening.
That notebook that I gave you last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that.
The number you gave me, change hands.
Yep.
Was there.
So, okay, so Mike Flickinger's report is done. Let's move over to Jesse Shamp, which is our legal counsel.
Okay, on the, I didn't get
Oh.
this in.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify on the engineering. So the Jordan Road, where it's at, is this for? Is that what you're saying?
That is what is being analyzed right now.
Are we calling it, have we named this baby?
Storm 2021 Storm Sewer CCTV Analysis, which is task order number 21.
So that's as far as we've gotten, and then we know that once we get it, we'll name the baby after that, right, in terms of the solution, because he provided a summary of 3 possible solutions, right?
And those emails. You got emails too? Did we send it to everybody?
That's where this is a different, so what he sent out was for Jordan Road.
Right.
What he's getting ready to analyze is other parts of the storm sewer.
Correct.
It gets
There's
down around my house.
Kerwood, Ponderosa, yes. There's actually 2 different things going on. So we sent him back over, Flowline actually did go back over and do some additional work that we had asked him
On
for.
the Jordan, part of the Jordan.
On part of the Jordan Road, and that is of extreme importance to a lot of people, and you saw one of the Facebook posts. So that's kind of one of these little things right here. But yes, the other stuff that was dropped off is also the Kerwood, Ponderosa, the second section of, this is our second section of CCTV work for storm sewers.
So the Jordan, just so I can know what I'm listening for, I'm interested in the Jordan Road program.
So
I wasn't clear in this synopsis which one that was.
So, yes, there, right now, it's all just called the 2021 Storm Sewer CCTV. Yeah, it's clumped together. I think that's where we're on the same thing now. We're on the same page now, yeah, it only has one name. Because it was, technically, it was the Kerwood until we found out there was an issue right there, and we sent Flowline back to Jordan. So that's why it's part of this one. So this is actually, I'm gonna call it phase 2, but now phase 2 includes part of phase 1 again.
Everybody's.
Did you guys catch that?
Here, it's like.
Clear as mud.
It's like
If you don't-
plan A becoming plan B, plan B becoming plan
You know, the worst part of that is I actually understood what I just said.
A.
That means I do way too much in storms, storm sewer and sanitary sewer, if I understood that. All right, any other questions on that? So yes, we are all very excited to find out where the next step is gonna be on that. Anybody else for Mike Flickinger, AKA me? Okay, good.
Yeah, I do. In terms of Westville School,
You're asking questions, but this is my report. No, I'm kidding, go. Let's see.
in terms of Westville Schools, how often does the engineer get over there to make sure their things look right?
I would be lying if I answered that question.
The engineer only gets over there to handle specific items to the village, such as inspections for pipe that goes between the pit, for example, and the building itself. And that was already done as part of the storm sewer and water and sanitary sewer inspections. Otherwise, the commercial building inspection, the inspectors are the ones that handle the majority of that work on our behalf.
So we just, so we're not walking like you walk in your house that you're building. We're not walking, we're not getting into it,
Not
kind of
yet.
like peeking in like that to make sure they're.
That's what the building inspector.
No, so the
So what,
the house.
in the case of the resident who was complaining about all of a sudden they've got water in the backyard.
It's a little different.
Or they just happen to be butt up against the Westfield schools and it's never happened. So
That's a little
in
different.
that case, we just wait for a complaint to come in.
But in that case, yes, we would have to, because what happens is we don't know, the grading is at multiple stages, and so if something is not, if guys with big diggers, backhoes, and surveyors, but they can make small errors in the field, which lead to, water flows where it flows. And so it goes in the direction that they didn't intend, and that's when we find out it didn't do that, so we get out there and we say, hey, it's going in the backyard, and they shore it up and put some, some silt fence or whatever they need to do to redirect it. When we get in the building, from the zoning inspections more towards the end, unlike a house, we have a few different points that they go up a lot faster than a major piece of a, commercial industrial construction. So we're not quite there yet for our purposes.
And in the first part of the village engineer's report, he said that he was working on the storm sewer plans for.
The middle school.
Oh, that was the middle school.
Yeah, the elementary lot's already been approved, so he's in the middle, they're in the middle review process now for the middle school, because that hasn't been final yet, and that's why construction hasn't started, we're not to that point of digging the hole yet. So he's reviewing the middle school stuff now.
I think the short answer is the final grading isn't finished.
No, that's not, that's correct.
So,
Of course not, but they often, do they just get to say, oh, I'm sorry, we're not done yet, you get to have water in your backyard?
No, when that comes to our attention, we talk to them and say, hey, this is happening at this neighbor's house, and they're like, oops, and then they go see what the problem is, and they generally get it corrected. So that's usually how that works.
I brought that word to that to stop it. Did you get it? Because I know it's just Saturday. But
Yeah, I just got to talk to you about it, and I fire
it's
up.
on your list of things to do.
Yes, I fire up a call, and, I'll get back and tell you, we'll discuss it.
And can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Other than Tony's response, did we get an official complaint about it?
We get a phone call.
Yes.
Yeah, did that resident call?
I personally did not get a call. So usually what happens is if they call in and just say it's all from bar, they will hand out my number and then I will get a direct call. And I have not gotten a direct call because I don't think anyone's called into the business.
It's actually on my list of mayor report things.
Yeah.
Because I think that person actually posted something again today.
If they-
And I just want to remind people that Facebook is not the official place to complain. So if you have a complaint and you're watching this, please email me, I get out my
It is the
report.
official place to complain.
It is.
It's just not a chance for the meeting.
I'll get something done.
Yes.
If you want to scream into a pillow, you can do that too.
Correct, and I think that's part of the problem, and I'll get to that in my mayor. Okay, I wanted to clearly point that out. You can always email me, mayor@minervapark.org. I will forward it to the correct person. I do not mind that. I do not monitor Facebook. When I do see something, yes, of course, I try to get it to Eric, but I don't sit on it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I wish I did, I wish I had that. time.
I'll do that for you.
You can do that.
I
You
don't think you want it.
We'd actually rather you not, because we'd rather
You won't
people
call
actually
it.
contact the administration.
Well, because it becomes a
Because if you go and give service at Facebook, then they think it's done.
Right.
But
Yeah,
as
it's
I'm saying,
not official notification.
Well, let me just put it this way, I will make sure if it's not, we'll agree to disagree on this topic of the involvement in Facebook, and it's great.
But if you miss it for one day, you missed it. That's the problem. That's,
Pardon me, but for those of us unfamiliar with what was on Facebook,
there's just a resident posted that due to the construction going on at the new elementary school, his backyard flooded during the storm.
Okay, no, I'm not even talking about that, I'm talking about the flooding on Jordan Road, I'm
Oh, I
talking
was
about the
talking
tree
about
that, the tree that was it over there that not one person reported, the catch basin that was not reported, but they were all reported to Facebook. I'm trying
There is
to,
a laundry list of these kinds of items.
and yet I've not gotten an actual.
And the problem is, as you go, if we continue, if anybody in the body continues to go to Facebook and says, okay, we're on that, that disencourages people to come and actually report it. And if we don't have an actual report into the administration, then we can't track these things, because the day that you don't look at Facebook and it goes unanswered or unnoted, that's a missed opportunity and poor service to our residents. But if we continue to encourage them, please call the mayor, please give them the mayor.
Your opinions about how we should go about this.
Right, but if you're not the one handling it, then that's the problem.
I've handled more.
Okay, let's all agree to disagree. Facebook is not. Okay. I'm just, we're gonna say this, if you want me to handle a situation, it needs to be reported to me. I mean, mayor@minervapark.org, if you want it to be handled appropriately, you can email the zoning officer. Facebook is not the appropriate place, and I will not be monitoring Facebook to make sure that we're sending the appropriate people out to cut down trees and do those types of things. That's all my ask is, because again, it could get missed.
I'd like to comment.
So we're gonna move on to Jesse. Okay, you don't have your second at the end, just write it down, don't forget, because we gotta get through these official reports. So let's move on to Jesse Shamp, legal counsel.
So most of what I've been working on was covered in the engineer's report. A lot of sewer issues, a lot of fee issues, easement issues, so that's all being taken care of. We talked about a work session, we had an appeal file on a fence permit. We're gonna work to get that scheduled with council for the aggrieved party and the permit holder. Find a date that works for everybody, and before that happens, I'll get everybody sort of a breakdown analysis of how a proceeding like that is handled, so that that people talk and how we deliberate and all that. So I'll get that out shortly.
Does that end up going into executive session?
There is a way, yes, we can, yes, bounce out, go out for deliberations. So, yeah, and I'll get that, the code provision that allows that in our memo to send it out. Other than that, nothing to report.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions for Jesse? All right, let's go to planning and zoning, councilperson Tony Bennett.
Let's see, this, just last week we talked about the building that potentially is coming in across from the basketball court. Just got some designs and, started talking about what sizes we were thinking about. Then we had a discussion about the amphitheater, and we're kind of waiting on, I believe, funding from the grant, and just had some basic conversations about that, nothing in detail. And then we discussed our sign code. We're going to we started to take a look at the commercial sign code, specifically talking about the number of signs in the windows. And, we're going to start to address trying to clean up the strip malls through improving our sign code. That's really all we talked about is the planning. That's all I have to report. Any questions?
All right. No questions, so let's move to village planner Eric Fisher.
Most folks have stolen my thunder, okay, but assisting all other groups in these last few weeks, whether it's legal counsel, planning and zoning, or the engineer. There's lots going on. The only two new things I think to report on is, as mentioned at the work session, the house across the way on Lakeland Court is going to be coming through for some variance and plan reviews. As the couple that bought it at auction a little ways back is going to put a lot into it. They stripped it down to the studs, and it's going to be pretty neat when they're done. They're going to pour a lot of money, but it'll be a nice improvement for the community and clean up a lot. So I think it'll be a good change of pace for what's been over there for many, many years. GIS, just following again on to the engineer's report, there's been some emails back and forth. We'll do some final proving of that system. We've been working on that, staff and the engineers, Jacobs, for the last number of months, and I hope to have that finalized and up here in another month. I would think would be safe. I'm going to be on vacation at the end of July, so, but I think August will look for that time period.
All right, and go for it.
Just to refresh this body's memory
Yes, sir.
on the variance process, since we know that there are variance requests coming in, those first go to planning and zoning,
Correct.
and they make a recommendation, there's a public hearing, and then council makes a decision in a meeting.
Correct.
By motion,
You approve it, you disapprove it with reason, or you approve it with conditions.
okay, thank you.
And the public meeting is the planning and zoning meeting?
The public meeting is planning and zoning, the public hearing will be at council level officially, and that's what we advertise for. And then council will review it at that time and vote on it.
Well, they're all public meetings. I mean.
They're all public meetings, yeah. The public hearing officially is advertised for the council.
Okay, let's go. You guys all got a copy of the code enforcement report, I believe, from John Canty. Did anybody have any questions, problems, concerns? Or review it? Yes, that's everything that he's been, it's been busy. We're just gonna go with boats and tractors and trailers and high grass and garbage cans at the street for days on end, and people dumping in reserves, and I could go on for days as to everything he's been dealing with. And then obviously lots of permits coming in. So, oh, go ahead.
Out there, across the street here.
It's all I'm going. No, it's probably number one. We'll go with that.
I mean, is it in here?
We haven't, no, not yet, we actually had a discussion about that today, so there's a lot we've passed. As you know, we passed a recent RV and trailer code at PNZ and council adopted it. We have seen, amongst our other things to deal with the growth of use of a lot of people bringing their RVs and trailers home. They're sitting for much longer than a lot of periods. We've been nice because we've been dealing with other issues. But John's going to have to start going through the stack of them, and he's going to be sending out letters each week until we roll through them. So, it's just, there's a lot.
I can just say I got a neighbor that's been bothered, been told he can't park, and it's a little upset.
Yeah.
No, it's number 374 on the list. No, I'm kidding. It's in the top, but it's moved its way to the top because it's something that, again, when I'm trying to get down the street, we can't get down the street because so yes, we're obviously fully aware. The only other thing that I will say as far as code enforcement goes, we receive complaints daily of of numerous things. Parking over top of a sidewalk is an issue. That is going to be something that's going to be brought up, and just remember that John is doing his job based on the codes that the village has passed. And if we have issues, problems, concerns, then reach out to council and bring it back to our attention if it's something you don't like the code. But at this point, just know that John is doing exactly what John is told to do based on council, based on all of our codes. He is enforcing our codes. I know there's people that are disappointed that John is, that the code, I don't want to call him by name, code enforcement officer is doing his job by enforcing the codes and, basically responding to complaints. I mean, there are days that I'm getting 5 to 7 complaints at a time. Somebody made a comment earlier today that I actually chuckled at because they said that we have a lot of unofficial code enforcement officers in the village. And all I can tell you is, you have no idea. Yeah, more than you know. But, again, he is one person. He's out doing his job. As you guys can see by the report, it's very busy, and half of the things are not even on there that he's been working on in the last week. So that's my 2 cents on that.
We do have code though that says you can't park the bottom of the driveway.
Code can't block the sidewalk. And I don't think that we have that in our code, right? It's ORC that says.
You can't block pedestrian access.
So
They
that
can
would
be cited.
Yeah, so that is our code enforcement officer not able to enforce that because it's not our code, it's ORC?
So what happens is the police officer has to cite blocking the
Right.
sidewalk because it's in the right of way.
Right.
So
So
that's
that, so is that,
that is, you would not know.
it's technically. Well, yeah, it's a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that a process?
It's I'm gonna say it this way, we're gonna try to be nice about it at first. And remind people. I mean, I feel like there's always that, sometimes people just need reminded not to do certain things because they have small driveways. Yeah, and they will. So, But, you know, I think we all live in the same place and we all want to be friendly and neighborly and all of that until we can't be. So, you know, there's well over close to 2,000, I guess, people. So when you've got a handful of them that are taking advantage of a situation, then it makes other people a little upset. So we have a lot of people upset right now. Let's move to NPCA. Councilperson Diane Sharp.
Okay, NPCA's next meeting is Wednesday at 7 p.m. It will be a Zoom meeting. Anyone would like to attend, Lisa Bruder is the secretary, and she can get everything for you. The big thing that they're working on, of course, is the Family Fun Night, which is Saturday. Of course, they're looking for volunteers. They were posting to Facebook pretty religiously about that as well. All residents are welcome. There's in the newsletter, all of the various activities coming up are listed, including the next wine and cheese and some other smaller events, as well as a block party planning for September. So that's where we're at.
Perfect. All right. Does anybody have any questions? All right. As Eric stated, I'm going to go to the mayor's report. As Eric stated, we do have a lot going on. I think everybody's fully aware of that. Food trucks are posted on the website. Food trucks are posted in the newsletter. We have them. Look it up. They're there. National Night Out is August 3rd. Do not forget, I'd love if members from council would be there. It's August 3rd from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. There will be 6 food trucks at this point in time. Kimber will be there. The majority of our officers will be there. Any of the officers that can be there will be there. So again, I don't know if Leah wants to add anything to that, but she's been working pretty hard on it. We're going to have the signs. If the signs aren't out yet, we'll make sure that those are out like now. And I think that's probably tomorrow's project because I don't think they are out. Okay, so we will have those out, but again, it's behind Hawthorne, same place as it was last year, so we're hoping for a great turnout. I don't think there's a better time to, you know, come get involved and meet some of the officers and, you know, just get the community involved with it. As everybody is also aware, I hope at this point, there's 4 council seats up. Deadline for that is August 4th. That's all I have to say for that. Sewer catch basin on Alta Vista, $3,000 to repair. I have given the approval for that to be repaired. Again, that was never actually brought to my attention. I just happened to see it on Facebook. So these are things that could easily just slip right through the cracks. Please don't dump in the reserve areas. Even grass clippings should not be dumped in the reserve area. I have a feeling I'm going to say this every single meeting from now until we don't cut grass again. But just remember, if you don't want it dumped in your yard, don't dump it in ours. Facebook, I just said it. If you have something to report, send it to me, mayor@minervapark.org. Please do not post, please post your complaints, go for it. But also, if you want something done about it, and you want me to do something about it, reach out to me. I would be more than happy to look into it, but I just can't monitor it all the time. Somebody stole my thunder on this one, the pool is going very well. We had a couple really slow days, but other than that, you know, we haven't really had a lot of issues. I will say, you know, we have had a couple, so we've had a stolen bike, we've had some hit skips, we've had some different things. So a little disappointed in that, but again, I think we'll be talking about cameras before you guys know it. Not inside the pool, but the parking lot would be really nice. Not everybody's on board with that, but I guess if you were the parent of some stolen bikes, you might be a little more on board with it to know who's doing it. So that's that. We had a resident, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I know I did on Facebook, there you go. We had a resident build some benches that was on, he lived on Wolf Birch, he donated some benches, built them. Brian went out and put them in various locations that he thought would be good locations. So again, just a big thank you to the resident that built those and put those out. I know I've seen people on them, so that works. Picnic table has been delivered over to the basketball court. If there's not a trash can there, we will have it there this week because we do have one. We also put 2 picnic tables on the Black Sycamore, around the Black Sycamore pond. And we will be getting some trash cans over there as well. As you guys know, we're just gonna kind of plop some picnic tables here and there, and we're just gonna periodically move them until we realize people are using them. Yesterday, Schnitz was out here, and they were using picnic tables out there. So we've moved them from there, over to there, over to there. So, you know, they're not difficult to move, so we'll just keep moving them until they're in a place that we find that people really like them. Some shaded areas, some, you know, whatever. So if anybody has an idea of where they would like to see one, again, let us know, we'll get one over there. And that's all I have. So, mayor's report, does anybody have any questions? Okay, let's go to council committee reports. Let's go to community, councilperson David McNamara.
All right, I'm Mayor, I'm from Council Community. Let's not beat dead horse about the pool, it's going well. There's discussions about, paving. Yeah, very, very loud there, but, so discussions about paving the, parking lot. We discussed, I believe, the next planning and zoning committee, meeting on the 21st, and
No, streets.
streets.
We'll be discussing it in streets.
Streets, yeah, sorry, I don't know why I said that. Yeah, the next streets meeting apparently. Also, to the, pickleball aficionados of the village, I was given information that that will also be discussed as part of that project, potentially. With regards to the level of lakes for a potential cleanup, the dam valve has apparently been open since June. However, it's become my suspicion
Well,
that,
that may not be able to go away.
yeah, my suspicion is that,
Is they turned it a lot of times, and I need to turn it a bunch more.
yes, so that is being checked, so that hopefully we can have lake cleanup sometime this summer.
I will say that after the rain we got today,
Yeah.
it's painful.
Yes, yeah, it would be full regardless. Let's see. Previously there was discussion about use control programs. There's some up there right now, they're not even happy to hear this. So there are numerous programs that I hope to have selected and put before council for the spring as removal programs that are not removal based, tend to be somewhat unsavory for people as they are. What did you describe them as, Eric?
Well, there's a couple different flavors of it. What you're looking for is more of a harassment.
Yeah, the harassment for the springtime to stop us from nesting rather than the exterminating of the.
Yes. Yeah, euthanization is not the choice.
Yeah.
Necessary in some cases.
There was a nice way to describe, there's a nice way to describe it.
Yes, I was drawing a blank at that time.
We also say calling.
Yes,
Call the whole flock, right?
Yeah, so we hope to have that, agency selected for that by the spring.
I wonder if we want to get them hired by spring.
Yeah, there's a couple of groups that I have on, and present to you guys shortly.
I think it'd be a good time on the subject of the geese that the Ohio Division of Wildlife is making an emergency announcement about the bird disease in certain spread areas.
Yeah, yes, the current information, that I've seen has been that something about the brood X or brood 10 cicadas, there's some sort of toxin, in certain cicadas that gets passed on from the parent bird to the young bird because it seems to affect the fledgling birds, the young birds, and the.
So maybe the cicadas are gonna eliminate our problem?
No, it's solid birds, for now, like.
No, it doesn't affect
The Ohio Division of Wildlife is asking people to
So-
voluntarily take down all their bird feeders.
Yes, there are,
Clean their, watering bowls with
Yes.
bleach and then
yeah, there,
fill them.
the advice is along those lines at this point, in case there's anything that can be spread through bird feeders. There's, every, state division of wildlife or park system or, system like that has cleaning recipes that should take care of this if it turns out to be something besides a cicada, based talks. We haven't had bird 10 in a while.
17 years.
Yeah, 17 years, yeah, so I was in like third grade last, they were around, but,
Well, we're looking out for that.
yeah, hopefully it should resolve itself, but,
If anyone finds a bird that, their heads tend to tweak, run by.
Yeah.
If someone finds a dead bird, most likely to get cross over.
yeah, the hope is that it was simply a cicada-based, toxin or germ or some sort of pathogen, that now that the brood is receded back underground, the issue should be hopefully self-limiting and self-resolving, because the last thing our native wildlife population needs is another disease. So that went on longer than I intended it to, but those are the community updates.
It is transmittable from one bird to another.
Yeah, there's some debate about that. It's largely it's fledgling populations, and one bird is not going to feed someone else's nest, so that's largely why they're thinking it's food source based, and there was such a glut of food in the form of cicadas. So again, hopefully this is self-limiting, self-resolving by the fall.
I say community.
You just said that was the end of communities.
All right, let's move on to finance. Council President Brian Wolf.
Yep, the Finance Committee had a meeting last month. We discussed the potential financial ramifications of moving forward with our early purchase of the police cruiser, which we discussed and passed that legislation, I believe, at our last meeting. We also discussed potential financing options for the ongoing community building project with more discussion to follow. And I'm certain we'll schedule one for later this month, but it has not yet been scheduled. We'll socialize that through emails to get that hammered out.
Any questions? All right, streets. Councilperson Joe. Carl.
We haven't had a streets meeting since the latest information, on which we're all familiar with, came out from Jacobs Engineering. I think it would be a good idea if we did schedule a meeting, and have another meeting, we can go over that. There's a certain thing at the pool issue. I've been trying to find out what other street issues are going around I may not know about. I know there are some.
Yeah, we're just talking about the parking lot, but that's just something new. No, we can, the same thing at the end, let's not do it in the middle of this meeting, but at the end of today, let's see if we can go ahead, because Mike had actually asked me about when to schedule the next one. So let me look at my email as soon as we're done with this, and we'll go ahead and get one scheduled.
Okay,
What's
then we
the timeline is for him to analyze the.
End of July is what he said. So I don't know if we want to have one before, yeah, I don't know if we want to have one before that, because again, depending on if we want to have one with Mike or without Mike, that's the second part to that. I mean, if we want to just have our own that talks about the pool paving, whether or not we want to do it, in addition, I mean, street signs, that's been a topic that we've been discussing. If we want to replace those 4 signs at Maplewood, that's going to be on us. If we decide we want to do it, if you guys want to spend the money.
Even if it's short, I think we should have a meeting soon, because then we wouldn't need another one until probably in August.
Yeah.
The report comes out, and we could go over the stuff at the pool and a couple other things.
Right.
It might be a short meeting.
Yeah.
One
Fine.
other quick note on the signs at Maplewood, I spoke to Columbus
Okay.
Traffic about that. They said that's their pole, no more signs on their pole, so we have to put our own pole in and our own signs on it at a location that's within our right of way, not Columbus's. So there was a distinctive discussion about that. It is Columbus's right of way, that pole is located.
I got a personal
If
question.
somebody apparently
Yeah.
decided one.
So we want to do that, we just got to get a pole. on it.
So we did confirm
Yeah,
that.
that's it. I spoke to them directly.
Well, they said it's their pole.
Yes, no, I confirm it's their pole.
Okay,
Yes.
because I see lots of things. They're not-
Yes. No, it's their,
The complaint I received, apparently there are a number of people that I can't say depend upon, because they know the area, and someone else does, because they're upset that the,
It's helpful
downstream
because- yeah.
streets are not announced out at Cleveland Avenue.
No, I understand.
There's probably a way we could do something about
It's
that.
helpful to have some other iPad.
Yeah, I think that's a street,
wanted to do.
yeah, that's a street community conversation, let's not have that.
Yeah, so
conversation
if-
To have again at the street.
And that's something.
So let's move on to-
Streets meeting, but we
Yeah.
need to have
Do
one.
you have anything else for your report?
That's quite a bit.
Okay, then onward and upward.
All right, let's go to communications, councilperson Diane Trent.
Okay, as far as communications, we, in our recent work session, we agreed that we would add an additional page front and back to this newsletter. And so this week, we'll be working on topics primarily a deeper dive into where we are with the facility, and also talk about green space and various aspects of green space, including, keeping it nice, and what it is, why it is, that sort of thing. And then there will be some space that should the chief of police have something on safety, he wants to add to that. So that's kind of the template of what that will look like. And so we'll be working on do some drafts this week, pass around to the communication committee and other council members that might want to give feedback on that. So that would be this week.
What day is the deadline for the newsletter?
Well, let's talk about that because I would prefer to wait until after the NPCA meeting, because we can do it early, except the NPCA does have a couple of things that they're going to want to get on their part of the newsletter, and I'm not sure how much time they need.
Okay,
So one balance of two.
right,
And so after Wednesday, I'll be on this.
perfect. Just email us and let us know, that way we can make sure we have all our stuff there. Anything else? All right.
Something there. I had a revelation that I like to, speak on behalf of the, technically disadvantaged like myself. And, I said I've had trouble, navigating the website, and Mark goes 3 button pushes and he's on. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Well, then here's the revelation that I had today, or the other day. And that's my son, he said, these 3 lines here. What is this some international symbol for something? He said, yeah, that's the menu symbol. I said, what? This is
Also, are you accessing it through your mobile device?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's the other problem. Mobile device on websites is terrible.
No,
In my view.
That symbol you're talking about is called a hamburger.
Well, that's what he said.
And what it is, it is very much.
So, this is where I'm trying to, get up to speed on things, and I kind of believe that I'm not the only one.
You're not.
That doesn't know that.
No.
So this is what that's why I'm bringing this up. On our code. What I understand is, and then, my son and I started talking, I said, man, where did I miss the memo? Because I've been doing this and I did not know that was the symbol for me. And if you look on our code, when you go and search our code, there's a little prompt that comes up that says, click here for the menu key. It says, click here and get the table of contents. Well, maybe we do something like that for our website?
I would advise against it.
Well, why?
As a person who works in web design professionally, that is non-standard and is going to wreak havoc on a lot of
But
things.
I just got finished telling you that our code does that exact thing.
And I bet you
There's
that's
a
a
reason why
nightmare. I bet you that's a nightmare for them to maintain.
To maintain, to have that prompt.
Yeah, because probably every time they push code, that breaks. I'm telling you, it's a bad idea. We should maintain standard web
Okay,
design.
you say it's bad. Is it possible to ask the
Well,
people?
okay, so we'll talk about it, or maybe a conference, so there might be a conference. Okay.
And I know nothing about it, so I would be not for that.
I'll take it.
I know about the hamburger thing only because I play on it all the time, so.
Well, I don't. And then I went to look, and there's all kinds of different, it's not like completely universal.
Well, it isn't, because it's trying to cram it on the cell phone. That's the problem.
But
And I know, and I didn't know, but I
If
know.
the cell phone, if we have stuff that you can't do on a cell phone, and I think that needs to change.
Well,
It's
that's
fairly
a
well
lifetime.
formatted. I don't have a problem with it.
for cell phone.
It's pretty stable. It's pretty stable, which is nice that we
But-
like the new
Like
software.
I said, this is gonna, it's like, wow. That's gonna be.
We just opened an entire new world for
They
Tony.
did, they really did. It's like, man, there's all kinds of information in there. I thought it was already on stuff, and it's like, it opened a whole new world.
I think the one thing you said though, that makes sense to me is that when you get to the facility, you see all these things. But it's also a communication thing where you're trying to tell a story. And I think when we get to some of those more in-depth pages, it would be nice to have a summary at the top saying, what is this?
What is
Why
it?
is it even here? And what should I pay attention to? I mean, that would hurt. So something,
Well,
I
you would
made
know-
it down.
All the info on the facilities is, I know, I've been involved in all the meetings, and it's hard for me to figure out.
Yeah, we were able to get all that, the 2021 stuff up there.
Thank you for that. I mean,
Yeah, it did make it.
One, one on it about the website is that, maybe a little behind on getting stuff up. Now that I know how to use it, it's like.
We
a
have
couple
been,
months behind.
at this point, they are pretty, like tomorrow they will go and upload everything. So they are now, let me rephrase that, we are caught up, but we're not. We put it on now, but we're still going backwards. I will tell you, they have been doing, you may not find as many broken links as you were thinking, because we have been going through those every single day, not every day. About 3 days a week, we have, one person going through clicking links, seeing what pages are missing. So yes, now we're kind of going backwards, but on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, we actually do get stuff from this meeting. We get the video uploaded, we do all of that stuff pretty simultaneously, we get it up there pretty quick. As soon as we get reports and things like that. I mean, there are a couple things that I would like to see done. I mean, just police reports added. I know it's in the agenda, but people don't know to go to the agenda to look for some of those things. So I would like to see a page on the police page that shows, maybe those reports by month. So I think there's some additional things that we could start adding in there as well, just to kind of show people exactly what's going on and all of that. I think that there's a lot that we could, now that we have, admin rolling in the direction we want it in, I feel like we're getting some stuff caught up. So I do think that there's some definite benefits to that website that we could continue to grow on. Okay, so anything else for Diane? Okay, let's go straight to Tony Benintendi, councilperson, safety.
Well, I haven't had another meeting since the last time. I didn't have another meeting. I guess the only thing I'm waiting on is for hoping to see is the chief's, description of the, license plate reading cameras. That's the only thing.
Oh, you mean besides the thing you sent out that explained the policy? Besides that?
Well, what are we gonna put together,
I didn't even ask him to do that, that was from Saturday, he doesn't come back until
well,
Saturday.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm, waiting on him to come back.
You posted the policy was posted.
Yes.
The written policy. That was posted.
Yeah. And then we also,
Wasn't posted, where it's just, we not.
Oh, we know. Oh, okay.
I'm looking for something.
but we also, I mean, we did send out everything from the cameras when we initially did it, that
Only information
explains
from the webs, from the block.
from the flyers, yeah, because that's probably what he's gonna pull. I mean, that would be my guess, is basically what he's gonna pull and explain to people what they are.
This is the thing, is just letting people know about this opt-out program, and then we're not doing it. That's gonna be the thing that I'd like to say public. I know it was in the minutes of the meeting.
Right. Yeah,
That's something that, I know there may be only a small few people that care about that, but
Right.
we just need to follow through with informing the public about where we're headed. Because, well, with that being said, that there's a couple people that talk about it intensely on Facebook. We have no idea how many other people are looking to find out what's going on with that too. So I think it's important to get that out. That's all I had to report was in safety.
Perfect. Any questions for Tony? All right, Mark Ruger, legislation.
Okay, so we had our legislative meeting earlier tonight. A couple of things that are going to be moving forward. That should be seen on the horizon. We have come to a final draft of the noise ordinance. Noise ordinance, yeah. The only big changes from the last time was We decided not to go with set times, but leave the reasonable standard as the set time. And we added church bells back in as being okay.
Did we have anything, I mean, were you going off of something in our?
Yeah. It's an amendment to the existing.
Yeah.
Disorder of conduct.
Disturbance.
Yes.
No disturbance of the peace, yes, sorry. Yeah, so it's an amendment to that section of the code that basically gives more specific language around, what an officer, the standard by which an officer would observe, and they would make the determination of whether it's reasonable or not.
We're also sort of moving forward with Councilperson McNamara's native plants resolution. We're probably, most likely, it looks like it'll pass that as just a resolution encouraging the planting of native plants in all homes and businesses. And then we'll include a list of native plants that can be updated and added to, most likely on the website. Perhaps if we have a partial list at the beginning, we can put it as an exhibit.
And modify it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to bring back the flag and symbol ordinance. The last major problem we have with it is the language was that it had to be passed as a resolution, which would mean it's going to take, 2.5 months to change a thing. Consulting with Jesse, we can just do it a motion by council. So if there's a design, council can just motion to approve it and move on and get it done in the evening. That was all we discussed that legislation, unless someone was there, or did I miss something? Since I took my notes after the meeting was over. If that's the case, moving on to legislation for tonight, we have resolution 2021-22, a resolution affirming the appointment of Anthony Southard as a full-time police officer for the village of Minerva Park, Ohio. This is a third reading, so I will move for passage.
Second.
Any discussion?
All right. Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Councilperson Curl.
Aye.
Councilperson Benedetti.
Aye.
Councilperson Sherman. Aye. And Council President Wong.
Aye.
All right, so that is passed. Moving on to ordinance 11-2021. This is just the second reading of it. An ordinance establishing the village council's authority to hear an appeal of administrative decisions. This most specifically refers to appealing permits and such. It is just a clarification of the language of our code to make it more understandable and to give the council the ability to make those decisions. And that is a second reading.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Certainly.
I don't know if I'm missing it in there or not, but I guess my recurring thing of saying that I think there's another way we can go about accomplishing this. I don't see anything in this legislation that corrects the problem that we have. It specifically talks about a specific address that we can hear an appeal for a specific address. And unless I'm missing something, I don't know if there was a menu button I needed to push or something, but I didn't see it. But, what I'm recommending we do here is that, again, there isn't anything in this legislation that fixes the underlying problem. And the underlying problem is the way our code reads. And I'm going to read here from our code. It says, appeals to council may be taken by any person agreed by or by any officer of the village affected by any decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission. What I recommend we do is add these three words, or zoning official, right there, and then go down and add supports the zoning official.
I don't think that you're wrong, and I think we should do that. I wanted to get this legislation in front of you because we had a pending appeal. It just sort of, belt and suspenders. Council does already have the authority to hear these under the revised code. I would revisit your proposal. I think that was the confusion. I think we modified the code in years past that, it used to go to planning and zoning.
That I think the way we fix this, it's overdone with forever, is add those 3 words.
Well,
And then we don't have to have any of the languages in there, and we fix the problem.
well, right. I think there's more than just this that needs to be fixed, and I would prefer to do it all at once rather than piecemeal. So this takes care of this one situation, it's legal and everything's fine, then we come back in a month and revisit,
Yes, legislation.
knocking up all 3 of the issues. I mean, you're not wrong, your suggestion is correct, I think we'll probably end up there with a separate
What I was just gonna bring out, this is, again, my recurring thing, there's more than one way we can go about accomplishing a task here. And it isn't necessarily the way that it's been recommended by our village officials. I'm gonna keep bringing this up, and as we go on to talk about this topic, you're probably gonna realize that that's all we needed to do in the first place, was add these 3 words in, and, you know, maybe there's gonna be something that you'll come up with here later on that we need to address it. My understanding of the code is, you know, that's all we need to change, and we'll wait and see where I'm wrong at on this, but.
No, I think, I am kind of,
Because it's confusing, because, like I said, there's nothing in, at the top of the legislation says, you know, that whereas, that we're, you know, to give the council the authority to hear this. We already have, like you said, have the authority to do it, and the only thing missing is a couple of words, and we'd be good.
well, I see both sides. I think both of your arguments are merit, but I think we wanted to be sure that we didn't get bogged down.
Well,
It seems like anytime we get started on this, we seem to get bogged down somehow. And so I think this
Well, I'm
took
thinking that
this
if we move
took
the
care-
way,
this
just change
took
the
care-
3 words, or everything will bog him down.
took care of it. And I'm the kind of person that, like, if you're gonna fix something, I wish you'd look at all of it instead of like a plumber going in and say, well,
And wait a minute.
this is ready to leak over here, but I'm just gonna look over here on this part.
Well,
So,
I think you're
that's
here,
how
what
it
else
is.
we need to address to
But I-
give us the authority, to give us the authority to hear appeal of administrative decisions. That's, the only thing we need to do is add 3 words.
I have a question.
So I'm sorry, just to wrap this up, I didn't see it at the end of the legislative meeting, I know it was there at the start of it, but do we have this on the agenda for the next legislative meeting?
So next month, we can put it on the agenda and talk about all the different points of the code.
All of it.
Sure.
Well,
that's his question.
Yeah,
Right.
that's,
Well, we also are gonna have some other issues, you know, around the fence permit, and, you know, that was talked about at the work session, we need to talk about our code.
I don't actually know when the August legislative meeting is.
probably the second, if we're going back to the second meeting of the month, that would be appropriate. I don't know if you're going to continue to have it on the first meeting or the
Second meeting would be fine.
Perfect.
So my question is, that, the way this is worded in the minutes, is there, is this saying that the administration approves permits at times without following the proper criteria?
That is not what it says at all.
But we do approve things administratively.
Sure.
And I stop right
Yeah.
there.
Well, that is correct.
A person on the street could read that way.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will just say to wrap up legislation there, of course, any council person with any issue with code or whatnot, feel free to write what the thing is, what can you change, or what you would like changed about it, email me, and I'll make sure it gets talked at the next legislation meeting.
Is that a big enough animal that we want to schedule a whole hour and then let Jesse do that meeting?
I think it probably is.
And
I would agree, that's why I asked.
And so if you do that, then save us time.
We're gonna do it on first meeting.
Well, yeah, we may want to have it in the first meeting.
And that might be better for me anyway.
If I go to it.
If not, I'll bring that to the second meeting.
Right.
Well, I won't be here on that.
I will be,
Okay, second
I'm
meeting.
generally, no, I'm generally agreeable with that. I trust you.
We would still have the 2 members, plus you guys and myself.
But Jesse said it's better for you to second meeting.
Second,
Okay.
yeah, just get to it. I just want to promise I'll get to it and not
Yeah.
Okay, so second reading, 23rd, still.
Yeah, I gotta check that now.
Yeah, we'll check, because I'll let them know tomorrow, so put it down. And if that's the case, we will do some, it will be 6 p.m. Okay, while he's looking for that, let's, if everybody's okay to move on to old business, so we can get out of here.
I think you didn't report on the repair pool. I think that happened with the pipe.
Repair at the pool.
No,
Oh, that was 20 problems ago. That seems like a lifetime ago. They came out, they fixed, they repaired,
Grass isn't gonna grow back over.
the grass is even growing back over it, so they did a great job, it's done, it's,
I wouldn't even know, but it's fine.
That's how done that is.
that is how done that is.
So this is, so we repaired in that area a couple times already, right?
This is the first time that has, no,
Is it hard?
this is the first time of something
Someone
like
by
this.
the bathrooms before.
There was something inside no, it was inside like the, where the refrigerator and everything goes. So this one was from the other building to this building. So there was, yeah, this is a different beast. We're falling apart, which we're all getting. So yes, it's been repaired. The equipment or the, stuff that he used will last quite a while. So sounds promising. All right, no more old business, let's move to new business. Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up?
Well, maybe.
Hey, it's not 9 o'clock.
I'm gonna take a couple minutes to beat my drum about the facility building. And, I think I may start to ramble here, but, I don't think we've let the residents of the village understand where we're at this point. And to move forward, without to me, we're at that point, just like we were with the 2999 building, of saying, here's the floor plan, this is what we're gonna end up spending, or this is what we anticipate spending, this is what the floor plan looks like, and it's time for the residents to be getting involved, in my opinion. And, if we continue down this path, there's no change, there's no making any changes at all. And, just in an attempt to make the residents feel like they were involved, I think we need to let people know, we have finally decided this is the floor plan.
We haven't done that yet, though,
We
Tony.
have done that to a certain degree, except for to decide that there was going to be a couple little changes.
Well, no, but there's another, I mean, technically, they haven't done the core sample yet. That something might come up that would require, now we see this, we realize maybe we have to put this over here.
I
And
think what,
that's, and that's in terms of the core buildings. There is a possibility that this isn't, I mean, so many people out there.
I have a feeling that being against
no, but
for
I think
a long time.
the first thing is, which we've already signed this contract.
I understand that. But it doesn't mean we have to have them go forward with the plans. And here's what I'd like to point out. And I'd like to ask everybody here, everybody on council, has anybody taken a look at what that McFarland has sent out to everyone and her floor plan? And, here's my, I guess, having thought about what has been said in the past about this, and what I'm having trouble understanding is why we think that best plan is going to be more expensive. Or better yet, I should say that it's the only feedback we're getting about how well the plan was put together is from the person who put the plan together. I raised some objections, and the only person that responded was some guy that put the plan together saying, no, basically, your concerns, aren't valid. And, so what I think we should do at this point is that's why I keep asking, who's been involved in this process so far? And there hasn't been anybody involved that's an architect or to take a look at what other than the architect. We have an architect. What I'm getting at is there anybody to take a look at an architect to look at what the architect's doing?
Do we have an attorney that comes in and checks everything that the attorney does? That's basically what you're asking. You're asking to
Well,
hire an
well, you know what?
architect.
You know what? I'm still an engineer, check the engineer, we'll go back to. You know, we'll go into that next, okay, this is
We need
what
to
I
get professionals,
this is
check
what I
our
want to
professionals,
say.
that's what we need.
Tony,
This is what I.
Okay, wait, Tony.
Check
We haven't
everything.
said
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
I don't
we
think
need to
we're
hire
there.
professionals now, we need to double up our costs.
Okay.
That's right.
And that was probably outlined to say, but that's basically what you're asking. So if you want to, and I probably shouldn't have said
Well,
that,
okay,
but
well, let's just go there, okay? All I'm saying, I'm gonna finish my, my speech on the facility building, is I think we should have, because here's the thing I don't think you guys understand. When you go to cover this stair up, that requires an engineer to figure out how you're gonna cover that step up. It's gonna require an engineer to figure out how to move that step.
They have engineers, they have structural engineers. That's
But not every step. This is what I don't think you guys understand. And it's like me taking advice from people that aren't, up to speed on what it takes to build a building.
Are you a structural engineer? Are you not?
I'm not a structural engineer, but I've been involved in construction.
Sure lie, so lie.
Well,
So everybody on some level.
And this is also, if I can finish, please.
well, I was trying to interject between that argument there. But if I'm hearing you, Tony, and I will point out one thing. What you are saying is very much like what I was saying earlier, because I also do web design and understand what's going on and why this is this way. You're trying to say you do building things and you understand, but the village has hired professionals to handle these things, and we largely should be relying on those professionals.
Well, but
What I will also interject is that the one thing I agree with you 100%, that the biggest reason why 2999 Delaware Avenue failed is because we didn't communicate early enough. So I will, I think, step in to make the rest of your complaint in the bud, maybe, to say that, yes, we absolutely should be doing things to communicate explicitly what's going on and where we are with the residents. What is your idea on how to make that communication?
the first start is going to be, not to interject, but we are having the half page or whatever page in the newsletter, which has already been established. So I feel like we are already on board to try to do that.
So if we can say that your primary concern here about communicating to the residents, we already have positive action on, right? Unless you can point out to a technical failing of the work of our professionals that we have hired, right, to sit here and say that their work needs to be second guessed or to be reviewed is kind of an expensive boondoggle.
But I don't know, that's why I asked initially, have you looked at that McFarland's, she is an architect.
Yes.
She does have concerns.
I did.
She has been involved in these projects.
And so have all the people who created the plans that we looked at. Now, I think I will go with what your concern is, and might be right, where it's two different things. I believe with where we are in the process, the general footprint of the building is essentially set with where different levels and things would be. But some people are saying that it's not set, is that yes, internal rooms and sliding this room here, does this room want to be an office or a bathroom? Those are all changes that could happen. The idea of, well, we have the community area about here, the mayor's office about here, the entrance here, the police here. Yes, I believe that is pretty much set unless we want them to go back to the start. However, where changes can be made, and where some of those changes that were pointed out to us by one of the residents about like sliding the little conference room over, so it can be a conference room and reports room, and then you don't have to do the reports room up there. Some of those little changes are still on the table that can be made. Correct. If I'm understanding where we are in the process.
This is a very hot topic because I've had lots of residents contact me about it. And rather than complaining, they want to have some way to be involved in the process.
We've been involved in the process since 2017.
I am not saying that anybody who's done anything wrong. I'm saying this is what they're saying.
Right, we've done that with Diane's, all of Diane's,
They're thinking back to the
here.
old days when we would meet and they would come and get the podium.
And we did all that, and we put stickers on proposed ideas how to do it. We have gone with the one that the community said was the most likely option, the add-on and renovate option. with the proposed budget of that, and now we are trying to make that happen.
So we have had resident involvement for, Diane was the big full force of that for years.
But that's a whole separate issue.
It's not a whole separate issue. We focused based on that information.
I think we're the concept because they're watching.
Based on engineer recommendations, the engineer that was hired by council, that you guys interviewed, both of them, the interviews. So, you know, again, this has been an ongoing project. If people are not aware, other than going door to door, having a town hall, doing all of that, I'm open for suggestions. We could rent Hawthorne. We could do a lot of different things. We can set up diagrams. We can do whatever it is you guys want to do. I'm not in a position right now to put that together. I have got enough on my plate, but between communications and all of that, we're already doing, you know, something in the newsletter. Anybody can go back and look at any one of the live stream videos that we have discussed it. They can go back and watch the Garmin Miller and the other architect videos. They can do all of the above. I have an open door policy. Call me, text me, email me. I'd be more than happy to have somebody come in and have discussions with them. So, you know, as far as that goes, you're never going to please everybody. I completely understand that this design is not everything that I want. I wish that we had $4 million and that we could get everything we want, but it is not about want, it's about needs. Go, you know, again, I invite anybody that wants to argue the plan or argue anything at this point to come in here for 2 hours. Just come in here for 2 hours. Sit in my office for a couple minutes, have at it. I don't use my office. Village officials will tell you, or, you know, all staff will tell you, because it is embarrassing people can't use the restroom if I'm sitting in my office. I'm not going to go through all of that right now. The moral of the story is this building has needed to be done. The residents are fully aware that we are in the process of trying to move forward. Not everybody's going to love the plan. I have a newsflash. There's a lot I would change on the plan if we had the funds. So is this the best that we can do? I don't.
What I think is good, what you guys.
It is a good plan.
Is that if this does go to a referendum, then the residents are going to have a chance to vote. And then you have all the people in the village that don't want us to spend $8,000 on a camera, let alone $1.7 million on a community building. So what you're opening, what we are opening ourselves up to, if we continue down this path, is a referendum, because they're.
But that's gonna happen anyway.
Okay.
If we don't pass it as an emergency. There are the people who don't wanna spend $8,000 on a camera are gonna say 1.7, no, we're referendum. We're not gonna stop those people from doing a referendum, short of passing it as an emergency.
I get it,
The 23rd is not.
I have a suggestion,
I'm not being realistic.
and that is that taking the grumbling out of it, this very discussion we just had, I think it's a pretty good explanation. The public doesn't know what we just said.
Except we are in a public session, and the public has been invited. This meeting is live streamed to the internet, and the video is available on our website in perpetuity.
The information.
So I have said this before, and I will never stop saying it, right? We do this dance in front of a window. If nobody looks in, we can only be held so accountable then, right?
We can find them this meeting and we want the explanation.
I'm committed to, you know, as we move forward, I'm committed to, as head of communications, however you want to put it, I am committed to providing an ongoing communications on the facility as it progresses. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with taking the time to have some work sessions, or like we had before, we had an open house, and we combined people who are running for council with take a look at where we are in the buildings. We had a couple things going on. We had beverages and cookies and such, and we did that, and we had a pretty good turnout. It's not just one-time thing. We'll step through it to give people an opportunity to express their concerns and interests, etc. And hopefully, in doing that, you know, now, because we're talking, they're going to take at least 6 to 9 months to get the construction documents done?
We're definitely 3 months away from anything that's short of planning, rendering, things of that nature, right?
So this is a lengthy process to even get to the point where they're gonna say, okay, here it is, we're ready to go out to bid with this thing. So, we had a lot of opportunities to communicate and give feedback along the way. If we take them, and I think we can take them, I don't know, I think we should.
Absolutely.
I don't understand, I've never been involved in a
I
project
don't
like
know,
this.
I
before.
agree with that.
No, what I'm saying is, I've never been involved in one of
Okay,
those.
so just to wrap this up, we can talk about the new building all night, and we've talked about it numerous days. So, if everybody wants to get on board and put together a couple different things, that would be awesome. Tony, you have something else?
I got one more thing. I want to talk about the passing of legislation by emergency in our last meeting. We just talked about, questioning the law enforcement's opinions, and I'm sorry, Jesse, but I don't think you guys really understand what we did this past, when we passed that as an emergency, and to say that we already made the decision to go with Garmin Miller, so we don't have, that we can pass this piece of legislation as emergency, I think is inaccurate. And the one thing that Brian said is that the reason that we did this was to move things along more quickly. That most definitely is not a reason to pass something as an emergency. And I will say that what we did the first time in Garmin Miller was we accepted them, their qualifications as them being the most qualified. And at that point, we were asking them to give us to put together a plan and give us a price for what it would cost to put together the bid documents. That's what we decided the first time. We didn't decide, as has been said, we decided to go with Garmin Miller in the first ordinance or resolution. No, we didn't decide to go forward with having to come up with a plan. We just said, you're the most qualified, give us a price and a proposal. So, this is what really bugs me about government, in that we can say whatever we want. We're the Village of Minerva Park. We've got our official that said, this is my legal opinion, and we're sticking to it. And at this point, the only remedy for me is to spend $10,000 on an attorney and bring that to court. Or it's at least $10,000. So again, when you said you want to have another attorney second guess everything that our attorney does, in this particular case, I do. Because I disagree with it, but I'm not going to get the rest of you guys to agree with that. What pisses me off, if I can finish, please, this is what we're doing to other people in the village, this is what our officials say, if you don't like it, see you in court. And I'm tired of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make two comments, and number one, we did pass second legislation, so you're inaccurate on that. The second legislation had Garmin Miller's name on it as well. That was just passed.
Because it has their name on it, doesn't mean we're making the same decision.
You did, you passed legislation.
We passed legislation accepting that they were the most qualified, and you give us.
You passed two Garmin Miller pieces of legislation.
And the second one was for them to write the plans. See, again, you guys don't get it, and I don't
understand what you're saying.
There was one in getting of each other than both.
So Tony, if I may.
Yeah, right, we did.
The first,
chose an overwarning.
the first thing I want to say is that the ORC, in regards to emergency legislation, says that it is for the health, safety, or well-being of your community. And I can tell you that a project of this size, every day that it goes on, costs money. And money is very important to the well-being of our community. Therefore, by passing this as an emergency, we have shortened the length of this project by a month. A month is money. Money is important to the well-being of our community. So that is why I would support the idea of moving forward anything that needs money as quickly as we can, because time is money. And that is my personal justification for why I was the one that suggested we pass it as an emergency. So, and if you can tell me that money is important to the well-being of this community, I think you're foolhardy.
Well, I think it's just
Hold on, that was my first. Secondly, we do in fact have the opinion of the law director, who did in fact opine on the fact that, we're in the right. So we are satisfied there. And when you say that, that leaves you no other recourse but to go get your own attorney and sue, well, I would say welcome to representative democracy, right? We put this before a governing body. We discussed it. In fact, we had, I would say, a reasonably robust discussion beforehand. And then we voted, right? It took 4 members of this body to pass it as an emergency, and we met or exceeded that number. So, of course we all, no, that was actually my third. The two dovetailed it together. So that is the nature of this beast.
Well, when you say you're irritated with the form of government, I mean, you are government, so.
Well, it's not, it's not specific to this one.
But we're saying here,
Because the way it works in Brazil, and that's what I don't like. Is this what we say, and we'll see you in court? And that's what's going on.
But tell me, what does this governing body do that isn't that? Right? We set a zoning ordinance, this is what we say. And if you don't like that, we will see you in court. This is our income tax laws. And if you don't, we said it, and if you don't like it, we will see you in court. That is the outcome of every decision this governing body makes.
Okay, so I think we beat this one now, and can
This
we all
one is-
put it back
this
forward?
one is back
Because at the end of the day, the only thing I'm gonna say is it was voted on as an emergency. If you do not like the outcome of what your, fellow council members decided on their own to do, I can't apologize for that. So, but it was there, but it was, okay, but.
The option was there, we voted to.
Right, so I just want to point out the fact that, everybody that's sitting on here has the right to their own opinions, and they should be able to vote any way that they want without other council members judging them after the fact. And that's my personal opinion. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, just like you are. So the vote was done, that's the way that the vote went, and that is how everybody decided.
Yes, there's a lot of people out there that I'm just feel the same way that I.
And I am not going to disagree that there are not people out there. So absolutely, but that is what the process is for. And you made this plug, so I'm going to say the same thing. If you don't like the way that everything is running, there's 4 council seats that are going to be open. So feel free to run, and you will also be able to sit here and have your opinion. And again, we welcome it. I mean, we definitely welcome it, except for when we're beating a dead horse for the 8th time. So.
I'd like to make 2 points. The
Okay.
first half of this discussion would be an excellent way to communicate to the community, because we precisely went over the reasons for everything. And maybe we could somehow get that word out to the community through communication or something. And I think that would help. The second point is, I've never seen a project of this type that isn't fluid anyway. There's always changes.
at some point, the fluidity stops and a building is built to specification.
Yes. No, there are unforeseen conditions.
Yeah, we're all for that, correct.
All right, so.
Yes.
Whoa. We have not provided an opportunity for you to talk. So,
Citizens' comment?
Citizens' comments.
Well, I'm trying to follow that.
I have to follow that.
First of all, first citizens comment, if you'd like to make is to give us your name, address, and you got 3 minutes.
Well, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Chris Goromsky. East Express Paceland. I'm an attorney. And I'll be representing the Warwick City on the upcoming fence matter. And so I just wanted to introduce myself to all of you. And I look forward to working with the administration to resolve that matter. And I did want to thank council for expediting the issue so that we can come to a resolution sooner rather than later. And do issue like updating your code on the procedural matters. I know those things can get very bogged down in complications and that sort of thing. So I wish you luck on that. That's it.
So we'll see you soon.
Hopefully they can make a resolution on our code.
So who said somebody wasn't checking up on Jesse? Well,
That's right.
Move to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions, tonight.
Background there, everyone will want to hold the park. Yeah, well, that's fine. No, that's basically all we got. All of the things, yeah, trail. Yeah, so that's the process where you have
So you know, we have a project so that, the water was right? That was so they were really fortunate. Yeah, that was a lot of water.
Well, when I was around, so I was okay, I know my landlord who was sad.
Well, yeah.
Corrected into that.
Well, then, right, we have to make certain that good work doesn't go to waste.
Like you're saying, so you'll probably end up moving to pass the purchase or to move forward with.
Okay, if we were out for a movie,
Right, it's
Right.
30 days after the referendum.
Still your inside down?
Right, for more than you were buying it for.
There you go. Especially nowadays.
So, it's like my thing is like.
Getting used to not being seen anywhere.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you all for coming out.